Hey, really good news. U.S. soccer and women's players have agreed to settle the equal pay lawsuit.
It's about
Sure is.
Yay! I've been waiting and waiting to hear on that. Because, wow, they make more than the men, but not a lot more. Well, yeah, it's a lot more, but I don't know what they're complaining. Remember when U.S. Soccer released the numbers, and the women and the women's team was paid millions more than the men's team? That never seemed to make any dent, though. Nobody. They don't. They act like that story never even happened. Maybe did I dream it?
It's possible.
A 6-year fight over equal pay that had pitted key members of the World Cup winning United States women's soccer team against their sports national governing body ended yesterday morning with a settlement that included a multi-million-dollar payment to the players and a pinky promise. Oh, it doesn't say it's a pinky promise. I don't know if it's that strong.
Okay.
By their federation to equalize pay between the men and women national teams. Under the terms of the agreement, the athletes, a group consisting of several dozen current and former players, will share $24 million in payments from the federation, U.S. Soccer. Jeez.
Yeah, $2 million got broken into another special fund, though, right, for charity.
The Jeff Fisher charity.
No, I wish it was. And that's only $22 million. Gets broken up between
well, then they better go back and
players.
sue for that other $2 million.
The bulk of that figure is back pay, a tacit admission that compensation for the men and women has been different and unequal. Well, again, who brings in more money? The men, and it's not even close. Are the women more successful competition-wise? Yes, but they're not more successful bringing in revenue.
Then write that into the contract. You know?
Right.
Yeah.
I would think so. Perhaps more notable than the payment, though, at least for the players, is U.S. Soccer's pledge to equalize pay between the men and women teams in all competitions, including World Cup. Wow, okay. And again, there's a difference in the play between the women and the men.
I mean, that's what that's what the former president said.
Yeah.
Now, this new president was one of the former president said that the women had less physical ability, and they ran that guy.
A couple years they got beaten. They were beaten by the Dallas 14 and under team. Yeah. 5-2. 5-2 from the Dallas 14 and under boys team.
Ability issue?
Yeah, a little bit of an ability issue. I think we have to continue on this women's soccer thing.
Yeah.
I can't take it.
Good quotes in there.
I can't take it.
How bad they have been ripped off and cheated.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Jeffy. Thank you.
And it's finally going to be fair for them?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Good.
But perhaps more notable than the payment, at least for the players, is the U.S. Soccer's pledge to equalize pay between the men and women's national teams at all competitions, including World Cup, in the team's next collective bargaining agreements. Now, that gap was once seen as an unbridgeable divide preventing any sort of settlement. If it's closed by the federation in negotiations with both teams, the change could funnel millions of dollars to a new generation of women's players. Okay? So that's what's happening right now. And
oh no, what?
And we have this quote from the new president of U.S. Soccer.
Yeah, Cohn or something like that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. She said, although the settlement reached today is an incredible success, much work remains to be done.
I mean, if it was all wrapped up, she wouldn't have a job.
Right. There's still so much inequality.
Yeah, exactly. And you know how we fix that? We take all of the scrubs, all the second stringers on the men's team, have them go and play for the women's team. Right? Because, I mean, you can't box them out. That wouldn't be inclusive.
To be honest, I know that would be a great thing, and it would make the women's team that much better.
Yeah, let's just see.
Well, let's see. Then Hope Solo said this. The numbers speak for themselves. Yeah, and we'll talk about that in a second. The numbers speak for themselves. Solo said, the men's players get paid more to just show up than we get paid to win major championships. Is that right, little snarky puddin'? Because
snarky puddin'.
First of all, they had a different structure.
Correct, for their contracts.
For their contracts that the men negotiated and the women negotiated. And that's why, in part, the men made more because they negotiated a better deal.
You signed the wrong deal, ladies.
Yeah, don't sign it if you don't want to play under those circumstances. The other thing is, and it's not even mentioned in this article.
It never is.
The men make tens or hundreds of millions of dollars more than the women, despite the fact that the women, yes, are actually more successful in the women's league than the men are in the men's league. The men can't win a freaking championship to save their lives. They can barely get to the Olympics. In fact, a couple Olympics ago, they couldn't. Was it last time? Might even been last time. They didn't even make the Olympics. But the women didn't win the Olympic gold last time.
Not.
And so we're supposed to completely forget about the fact that the men make more money for U.S. soccer.
Yeah, maybe the women need to get a better sales team.
By a lot. Because what happens when the men show up? So does a crowd. A crowd shows up at the arena.
Really?
At the stadium.
Does that help?
Yeah, and that helps.
What about on
revenue.
TV? What about on TV?
And on TV, when you're making TV deals, and your deal on TV is hundreds of millions of dollars, that also helps.
No doubt.
When the women show up and only 4,500 people show up with them to watch, they're not going to make as much money.
Weird.
Isn't that something? Also, buying merchandise, the jerseys, all the clothing items, the soccer balls, the everything that the men bring in that the women don't. I'm sorry, the facts are facts, and you can't change the facts. So what do? They just ignore them. Yeah. But the numbers do speak for themselves. Look it up. We were talking about the WNBA last week because there was some weird deal with them. They make $60 million a year. $60 million.
And they keep ramming that sport
right down our throats.
My throat.
Okay, $60 million WNBA. The NBA, $10 billion. Okay, there's somewhat of a disparity there. Somebody.
All right, some of that needs to go to the women.
And it does.
That's the disparity
Thank you.
of it. Okay.
The NBA does subsidize the WNBA. Otherwise, it would have been gone the year it started.
If you enjoyed this video, hit like and subscribe to our channel so you'll be sure to see similar videos from Blaze TV with the added bonus of signaling YouTube that your voice and opinion still matters. And if you're looking for more great conservative content, check out one of the 2 videos suggested here.